Happy Sunday, everybody. It's Will, aka your favorite capper, Dr. Profit. We got 4 primetime games for you guys today. We're on a 19-8 run on straight picks. We're on a 2-0 run on these NBA primetime picks, but we got 4 primetime games today. Double what we've ever had so far for one of these episodes. So I'm going to break it into 2 parts so we don't have a crazy long video. First game, Philly and Dallas. Second game, Warriors and Boston. That's going to be the first video. Those are the 2-day games. Then for the night games, I'm pretty sure both those are going to be on ESPN. We got Knicks at Cleveland and Thunder at Suns. So let's get into that first part. We're going to go Philadelphia and Dallas. Let's get into it. So here we are. Last 15 games. As always, we're going to look at assists first, rebounds, and then all the different scoring options. We're going to do that for both games. And at the end, we're going to pick our favorite picks. So Philly and Dallas, we'll start there. Now, I know Philly, ever since Embiid went down, are giving up a lot of assists. Right here, they're 8th most. I would be willing to bet if I look at last 10, it's even worse. So assist props versus 76ers, fair game. And if you looked on my Twitter, I already posted one for Dallas. Rebounds, also bottom half of the league, but nothing crazy. Now let's check Dallas. Dallas also has been allowing a lot of assists the last 15 games. They're right there with the 76ers. So we can go check rebounds. They're also middle of the pack. So for both teams, assist props are fair game. So look at catch and shoot first, last 15 games. And we're in. 76ers. They're allowing a decent bit of catch and shoot, but nothing too crazy. If we want to look at catch and shoot made, because it looks like they're having a higher percentage of them made against them, they're top 5. Now we look at Dallas again. They're right there behind them. We're looking at, from what it seems so far, we're looking at pretty similar defenses. Both are allowing a lot of assists. Both are allowing a lot of catch and shoot opportunity. Now let's go check pull-up shooting. And this is going to be interesting because we're also going to see Dallas high on this list, especially in the field goals made department. They're allowing the most. We can see if it's more on 2s or 3s. Third most pull-up 2s. They're much lower on the pull-up 3s department. So anybody who's taking a high volume of pull-up 2s, good look against the Mavericks. Now we can check the 76ers. They're on the opposite end of the spectrum. They're not allowing any pull-up shots. So by the way we're looking at these pull-up defense and catch and shoot so far, it's looking like 76ers are swarming the main ball handler and forcing kickouts. And we can see here as well, shots within 10 feet. They're pretty much middle of the pack last 15 games. So yeah, it looks like they're swarming the main ball handler and kicking it out. We can take a look at some film if we have some time at the end of this. Dallas, on the other hand, also pretty low. So both teams defending the paint well, forcing a lot of catch and shoot. Dallas allowing a lot of pull-up shots, but 76ers not allowing a lot of pull-up shots at all. And this is where we get a chance to look a little bit deeper into it. We can check play type. And some of it's, take this with a grain of salt on the Philly side because I can only look at full season. I can't filter for a shorter time frame. And obviously Embiid is out more recently. But let's check ISO defense. We got Dallas. They are pretty middle of the pack. We can look at points per possession here. It'll show the percentile of the defense. And they're right there. Same with 76ers. So nothing too crazy in ISO. We can check transition points allowed. And we can see Dallas is allowing a lot. Nothing crazy. 76ers are a little bit worse. So maybe we can expect a faster pace game. Pick and roll ball handler, defensive. So this is going to be your Maxey and your Luka. We can see Dallas, middle of the pack at defending it. 76ers are one of the better teams. I'd be willing to bet this goes down to like 65th percentile without Embiid. So don't want to target either the ball handlers for scoring necessarily. And we can check the roll man. Let's check score frequency, and we can see Dallas is one of the better defenses against the roll man, having Lively in there. He's a pretty good piece in there. And then now they've added Gafford in the mix. They're probably even better. So Paul Reed, not in a great spot. And Mo Bamba. But, I mean, I don't know how many of you guys are betting on Paul Reed and Mo Bamba to begin with. So that doesn't change too much. And then on the 76ers side, they're one of the lesser teams, probably bottom 10, looking at this efficiency. So Gafford and Lively are in play. Any assist props for Kyrie and Luka, as we've already kind of talked about, that's also in play. We can see which teams are running the handoff. 76ers are running it a lot. Meanwhile, Dallas, not nearly as much. So we can see how Dallas defends the handoff. They defend it. Uh, they're not defending it well. So we can check to see which players on Philly are getting a lot of handoffs. My money would be on Maxey. Maybe now that they got healed, he's in the mix as well. Um, that's everything for this game. So we'll go over everything real quick. Both teams allow a lot of assist props. 76ers swarming ball handlers a lot and enforcing a lot of catch and shoot. Dallas allowing a lot of pull up twos and a lot of catch and shoot threes, not allowing a lot in the paint. Dallas can't defend the handoff well. So if I'm thinking 76ers, I'm thinking Maxey and Buddy Hield scoring. If I'm thinking Mavericks, I'm thinking either Kyrie or Luka assists, just off the bat, not looking at hit rates or anything else, purely off the matchup. Now, let's get to Golden State and Boston real quick. We'll come back up here. Traditional stats and opponent. Last 15 games. And I'm know pretty much exactly what I'm expecting from both these defenses. They've been I've probably between last year or 2 years ago in the playoffs and every time they've played since, I've researched this matchup more times than probably most other matchups. So Boston, as expected, they don't allow a lot of assists. Golden State, on the other hand, they're pretty middle of the pack. Rebounds, on the other hand, we got Boston allowing some of the least in the NBA, and the Warriors. Where are the Warriors? Pretty much middle of the pack. So not much edge on rebounds. We can target some under assist props for or against Boston. Now let's go to the scoring aspect. Catch and shoot. Last 15 games. And let's look at Boston. They're middle of the pack. A little bit worse than average, but we can look at 3-pointers made because that might incorporate some of the quality of the looks. And they're a little bit better than league average. Now we can check Warriors. And they're also middle of the pack, nothing crazy. They're right there with Boston, so not much worth mentioning. Golden State is allowing more than Boston, so maybe they're due some regression. We can check before we get to pull-up shots. We can see how many wide open threes each team is allowing because that'll also give us an idea on the quality of looks that are being allowed. And we can see Warriors are allowing more, I'd say. A little more than league average, and Boston's right there with them. I will say for Boston, some of this might be off pull-up threes due to their what's it called? Drop coverage. So I'd take that one with a grain of salt because we can come here and we will see last 15 games. Get stats. And Boston is second most in pull-up threes allowed. And again, that's because of the drop coverage they play in the pick and roll. I have some screenshots, examples of it on my Twitter that we can go check out real quick. You can see here, Looney set the pick, Horford in drop coverage. Looney set the pick, Horford in drop. Horford is in the paint when Steph is well off this screen. And again, this is a high pick and roll, but that's the whole purpose reason you have Steph is so you can run this. And this is a good shot. He pulls up and takes this and makes this. All of these clips ended in buckets. Again, high pick and roll. He's almost in the free throw circle. This is too much space for Steph. He'll take that every time. So that is why teams are or why Boston's allowing some of the most pull-up threes in the NBA. And we can check pull-up twos as well. They're up there right here. And we can check on the Warriors as well, just to cover all our bases. Warriors are a little bit better than average, not allowing anything crazy. We can check pull-up twos versus pull-up threes. Maybe there's an edge in one of those two. Nothing really on pull-up twos. Nothing really on pull-up threes. So target pull-up shooting against Boston. That's really the main edge there. And we can see Warriors are not allowing anything crazy inside the paint. And Boston, same thing. One thing I do want to make note of for the Warriors defense, because of the way Draymond's very good at playing his drop coverage. He doesn't play it like most other centers, so I don't consider it the traditional oh, just pull up and shoot, because he's very good at showing himself at the ball handler, retreating, and then coming back to the ball handler. It sounds complicated, but you watch him do it, and he makes it look like you see why he's so valuable to that Warriors defense and why they got so much better once he returned. It's because of that way he can play both the roller and the ball handler at the same time. Not many guys can do it as well as he can. But the reason I bring that up, the Warriors allow the most shots in the paint non-restricted area, and it's because of that drop coverage. He keeps dropping. He never really commits to the ball handler, but he shows himself enough to like kind of make the ball handler freeze. With that being said, if the ball handler commits himself to a bucket, anything outside that restricted area, if he eats that space, that floater, short pull up, it's always there. So that's also why they allow some of the least shots in the restricted area. They correlate. So any guard, in this case, it'll be, you might get some Jaylen Brown playing bully ball against a smaller guard. Jason Tatum doesn't get too many floaters. He likes to get straight to the rim. Maybe some Drew Holiday and Derek White. Kristaps Porzingis, like, he'll have a matchup advantage in terms of just being able to shoot over guys in this matchup. But yeah, those non-restricted area touch shots with a little bit of finesse, those are fair game against Warriors. That's why guys like De'Aaron Fox, Jamal Murray, that's why they do so good against the Warriors, is because of that right there. Now let's go check play types. Against ISO, Boston is elite, 80th percentile in terms of points per possession allowed, 0.89. That's really, really good, guys. Like, just if you think about just every play and what the points per possession is, let's put it into context real quick. I'll make another video talking about that, to talk about the value of like each points per possession, because that's something I could talk about a decent bit. So Boston, 0.89 points per possession. That's really good. Warriors, middle of the pack, nothing to talk about there. We can check transition, and we can see Boston, it's one of the best, doesn't allow a lot. Warriors, one of the worst. So Boston can get out and run against them. Pick and roll ball handler. Boston, 58th percentile. Now, the reason, I know we talked about targeting the drop coverage in the pick and roll. Not many teams can run a high pick and roll like the Warriors can. I do want to say that. 2, the addition of Kristaps Porzingis has made it so he can play drop coverage and just with how long he is, still pressure the shot when somebody takes a pull-up three where it looks uncontested, and then all of a sudden you see Slender Man extending himself 10 feet above the ground. When you run a high pick and roll like Steph does, that's less of an issue, because Porzingis wants to like sit like right at the edge of that paint, and then as soon as he sees you rise up, that's when he comes out and tries to contest. When you run a high pick and roll, you can't do that. So what's going to happen is either Curry's going to have more space than he should, and Porzingis probably isn't going to matter, or Porzingis is going to try and respect the space more, and Curry's going to be way too fast. It's one of the things that makes Curry so good at the pick and roll, is he's great at reading those situations, but that's why they've been better against the pick and roll this year compared to years past, is because Porzingis, even with that gap, presents a much bigger threat at altering the shot than most centers. I don't think that's going to be an issue with Steph Curry. I'm going to be completely honest. Enough about that. Warriors against pick and roll. They are 65th percentile with a good chunk of the season without Draymond. I'd bet that's more 75th percentile with him in. So there's that. Roll man. Boston, again, drop coverage. No surprise that they're this good against the roll man. And Warriors, 65th percentile. Again, with Draymond, probably a little bit better. And last thing we check is the handoff, because we can see here Warriors are running 5.6 possessions per game. Pretty decent. I bet they're running it more with Draymond, because, again, he was out for a chunk of the season. If you didn't hear me say that already, Boston doesn't run it at all. So we're not even going to look at the Warriors defense against handoffs. But we will look at the Boston defense versus handoffs. And again, this also has to do with the drop coverage. Having to defend a pick and roll off the handoff rather than a traditional pick and roll is much harder because it is much easier to come on that screen. When you run a pick and roll, you have to time it right. You have to come directly off the screener's shoulder and you have to let them get set so they don't commit a foul. When you're running a handoff, it is much easier to come off that because they're already set. All you have to do is come off that shoulder. The defender can't do anything about it. He just has to decide whether he's going over or under, can't fight through it, none of that. So it's no surprise that Boston is much worse against the handoff than the pick and roll because it's harder to defend, and the way they defend it is traditionally uh, a point of attack that teams can make. So we've broken down everything. Let's go to DraftKings and make our fun little parlay. So Sixers and Mavericks. We talked about Buddy Hield. We talked about Tyrese Maxey. Points. We talked about Kyrie assists and Luka assists. I kind of like all of them, but one of the players I do want to take for making a parlay instead of a what's it called? A straight bet. I want to give Buddy Hield 10 plus points in there because we can check Hield with 76ers log. He's hit 10 plus in every game with decent volume. And then if we want to look at without Melton, who is out, I think he's had 13 plus in every single one. I think we just run Hield 10 plus, and then I want to come here. I'm already running Steph PR. I don't love anything on the Boston side. It's one of those where I think they're going to force a lot of switches and attack the mismatches. The question is, which mismatches are they going to force? Because they could try and run the pick and roll to get Curry on Tatum, or they could run it to try and get Curry on Porzingis in the post and then feed Porzingis. They do this. This is one of the things I love about the Boston offense. They have mismatches across the board. Whoever your weakest defender is, they're gonna get put in a mismatch, and you just have to deal with it. Whenever it was the Nets, they found a way to switch Cam Thomas onto Porzingis, and then they ate him alive there. Versus the Heat, Tyler Hero, they made him work every time. A lot of times they got him in the post to Jaylen Brown and let him go to work. It was whoever your weakest guard is going to get forced on a switch. It's just a matter of, do they want you on Jaylen Brown in the post, Porzingis in the post, or Jason Tatum in the ISO? Pick your poison. They're going to try and do it with Curry here. I just don't know who they're going to do it with. So that's something that we can live bet at halftime. We can see what the game plan is in the first half, and then see what they want to force from there. Last game Porzingis didn't play, I don't think. So we don't have much of a read there. So I think I'm just gonna take Curry. I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys. I already took him on Twitter, but I don't really care. Oh, PRAs. Yeah, I'll take that. Yeah, that's playable. 100% that's playable. When's the last time? I don't remember the last time Curry missed this line against Boston. Oh, love that. And we got to specify which brother. 42, 40, 45, injury game, 39, 57, 57, 30, 30, 58. So the last time he missed this line was 2017. If we want to include playoffs, so that finals matchup, he has hit this in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Surely this was an injury game. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. Missed in this one. What happened here? 7 of 22, 0 for 9 from 3. You guys are trying to tell me we're betting on Curry not to make a single 3. Yeah, right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So the last 14 games against Boston where he hit at least 1 3 and played 15 minutes, he hit this line of PRA. I'm taking that. That's minus 125. I will pause this for a second to make sure that's the best line we can find. FanDuel doesn't even have lines for this, and I don't know what other sites offer alt PRA lines. So minus 125 is the best we're going to get. As always, we either play it to win 1 unit if it's minus odds, or we put 1 unit if it's plus odds. So 125 to win, 225, aka profit 100. Oh, let me get rid of this. I want it to be a parlay. And there we go. We're in. That's video 1. make sure you go and check the next video so you see the night games. But this first round of games starts in 2.5 hours, so I wanted to get this out as soon as possible. And again, make sure these aren't too long. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let's have a great slate, and I'll see you guys in the next video.